franchise that has been with multiple developers and multiple publishers. Being one of the oldest racing franchises of this generation, it has had multiple games with multiple series throughout its entire history. Regardless of what game and what series you first started playing, the Unlimited series is the one that stands out the most. Not just the most talked about or the most played, but the most recognizable out of the entire Test Drive franchise. And this is the Test Drive Unlimited Iceberg. Normally I will be covering an entire racing franchise, but for this video I'm only going to be focusing on the Unlimited series. And it will be on an iceberg chart that I made myself. And in case if you don't know how an iceberg video works, is basically you have an iceberg that has multiple topics in multiple layers. They range from topics that are easy to understand and well known to anyone, and they will go down to more obscure, less known, and sometimes dark pieces of information that not everyone knows or nobody knows about. Before this video starts, I just want to mention to feel free to correct me for any misinformation or anything that I got wrong for any of these topics, or anything that should be worth to add for any of them, or even any topics that were not featured in the iceberg at all. And with that out of the way, enjoy the video. Atari was the former publisher for the first two Test Drive Unlimited games. Their story goes as far as back as 1999, back when Infogrames was the publisher for the Test Drive series. I say this because Infogrames bought out the IP that year, but then a few years later in the early 2000s, they bought out multiple studios to be part of their umbrella, which also included Atari. And then later, Infogrames decided to rebrand everything to Atari, in which in a way you can say that Atari has been publishing Test Drive games since 1999. But to summarize their tenure with the Unlimited series, it's only Test Drive Unlimited 1 and 2 that they have published. Then in 2013, the studio filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which a year later they have managed to emerge themselves from it. But at the cost of also losing the Test Drive IP, which was bought out by Big Ben, otherwise known as Nikon. Eden Games was the developer for the first two Unlimited games, but their story, like Atari, goes as far as back as a few years before 2006, starting out with the V-Rally series. Sorta. Basically back in the late 90s, V-Rally was starting out as a new rally franchise, but in some regions in the world it was rebranded into another franchise, specifically Test Drive in the European side, and in North America for certain systems. Aside from developing other games and the PS1 version of Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed, they were tasked by Atari to make the Unlimited series, specifically the Xbox 360 and PC version of the game, and eventually with the second game for all systems that was released on. Along in the development of the first two games, there has been some fallouts and problems between Eden Games and Atari, which had a lot of strikes, people leaving, and the studio eventually closing down as part of Atari's liquidation of their bankruptcy. But eventually the studio managed to relaunch itself. And the studio is still around today, with developing various games and being part of two parent companies. Formerly known as Big Bang Interactive, Nikon is the current publisher and IP holder of the Test Drive series. The studio is known for publishing various types of games, which include TTI of Man, V-Rally 4, and they were the former holders of the WRC license from 2013 to 2022. Nikon acquired the Test Drive IP back in 2016, and so far they've only published one game, Solar Crown, with some weird decisions and controversies along the way, to say the least. Kiloton, also known as KT Racing, is the current developer of the Test Drive series with just Solar Crown under their belt. The studio is also known for developing various games, which included the WRC games from 2015 to 2022. Their time developing Solar Crown has been very troublesome, not only because of the challenges they had to go through throughout their entire time developing Solar Crown ever since Nikon acquired the IP, but also even going on strike before the game was released in 2024, for various reasons. So yeah, pretty much Nikon and KT Racing having the Test Drive IP has been a disaster since Solar Crown. Speaking of Solar Crown, the term is known for two different things in the franchise. It was first introduced in 2011 in Test Drive Unlimited 2 as a championship TV series, where 8 competitors set out to compete in a series of events or championships in various vehicle classes from classics, off-road vehicles, and asphalt vehicles. Each vehicle class also has its own high championship with more challenges for you to complete and a slightly higher payout than its regular championship variant. And both Ibiza and Hawaii have area cups, with Ibiza having 1 and Hawaii having 2. Unlike the other championships where you can do the challenges in any order that you want for a very specific vehicle class, area cup championships have various vehicle categories that you must own at least a vehicle of each class available for you to compete. And all of the challenges in all of the area cups are done in a specific order, all of them giving out a huge payout and a prize card to go along with the money. Solar Crown in 2024, from what I was able to gather all together, it's more of an organization rather than a championship how it was in TDU2. There are events that you have to complete, there are opponents that you face against and whatnot, but it's not the same ring of what TDU2 offered. And Solar Crown doesn't really have much of an incentive of completing huge events compared to TDU2. Overall, I can't really describe much about the 2024 Solar Crown compared to 2011 Solar Crown. They have similar things, but they are really different from each other. The series has been in 3 locations, all of them in islands, being Hawaii, Ibiza, and Hong Kong, all of them being recreated in a near 1-to-1 scale, even if some locations and some roads may not be accurate to what they are in real life. Or in the case with Solar Crown, not including the entire map as it was seen in the previous game and instead opting to go for a smaller down version of that set map, Ibiza in this instance. Even if you can sort of drive off from the area the game lets you to drive in. Whether they want to expand the map or not, that's completely up to them. What I'm basically trying to say about this topic is Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown equals Test Drive Unlimited disastrous launch. And what I'm trying to refer here is how bad Solar Crown was when it was first released. Of course, any game can and will have issues, and eventually they can be fixed over time through updates in this day and age. Solar Crown is no exception to this, but one major issue that this game was plagued with since day one is server issues. Specifically how being an always online game was a bad idea from the start. Now, KT Racing said that they will make an offline patch for the game later on in its lifecycle, as well as fixing the among other issues that the game has, and even expand on the game itself later on. But of course, the damage has been done. No matter how many things they will add and try to fix with the game, it will take a lot to redeem it itself and be more worth it for people to get. All TDU games have an emphasis when it comes to multiplayer. While there are not full-on MMO games, besides Solar Crown technically, they do have and offer things that you can do with other people online. Hence why the first 2 games were branded as MOOR, Massively Open Online Racing. Solar Crown so far is the only outlier to this. While it may not be seen as an MMO, but it's the closest thing to an MMO due to its always online connectivity. That is until whenever they give us an offline patch for the game, or we had to rely on the community for it. Besides the usual racing events like races and time trials, there are different types of missions that you can do in the first 2 games. TDU1 has Hitchhiker, Top Model, Courier, and Vehicle Transport missions. TDU2 has Adrenaline, Driving Convoy, Jolt, Speed Limit, Tail, Time Attack, and 2 DLC mission types, which are Extreme Convoy and Time Convoy. Hitchhiker, Top Model, Driving, Jolt, and Time Attack missions follow the same structure of giving another person a ride from one place to another, with some differences with each other. All of these missions are depending on a driving meter and on a timer, with the exception of Jolt missions and majority of the driving missions in Test Drive Unlimited 2. While you can take your time in Jolt missions, you also have to be careful to not increase the Jolt meter and fail the mission by making the passenger get car sick. All of the Hitchhiker and Top Model missions are restricted with vehicles with 2 seats, with some Top Model missions being restricted by either vehicle class or a very specific vehicle. Aside from Driving Convoy missions, you can complete all of the mission types in TDU2 with any vehicle that you want, as long as you know what you're doing. And only to TDU1, Hitchhiker top model missions pay you in clothing coupons instead of cash, unlike the second game, in which you can use those coupons to buy clothes. Vehicle Transport, Driving Convoy, Time Convoy, and Extreme Convoy follow the same structure of driving a vehicle from one place to another. All of these missions have a driving meter, which, depending how you're driving, it will depend how much you're going to get paid for the mission. You can take both Vehicle Transport missions and Driving Convoy missions from TDU1 and 2 respectively at your own pace. TDU2 has its own DLC missions of Extreme Convoy and Time Convoy, and they're a bit different from the regular Driving Convoy missions. Extreme Convoy is the same as Driving Convoy, but if the car gets damaged in any way, the mission's instantly over, and you have to restart again. Time Convoy is exactly the same as Driving Convoy, only this time you also have to worry about a timer than just a driving meter. Adrenaline and speed limit missions are what I like to call skill set missions, where in adrenaline missions you have to increase its meter by doing things like jumps, near misses, and drifting through corners. And speed limit missions are just simply get to a certain top speed and maintain that speed until the timer runs out. Courier and tail missions are different from the missions that I've already mentioned so far. In Courier, you have to deliver a package in a certain amount of time from one place to another. All of the missions have to be done in a vehicle with 2 seats, with some missions either being restricted by a particular manufacturer or by a particular vehicle class. Tailing missions are just simply following another vehicle to their destination, while also keeping your distance, as if you get too close or you get too far behind, you'll fail the mission. And all of the tailing missions involve a cheating scandal. That's what they all are. In terms of replayability, only top model and hitchhiker missions in TDU1 can be replayed as many times as you like, while courier and vehicle transport missions can only be done once. For TDU2, every mission is only going to be done once and never be done again. But unlike the first game where you have to find the missions by driving around in the streets, they will start to appear in the map at random once you complete the first mission, which is to take Jane to the off-road racing school. But you also have a certain amount of time that you have to go up to that mission and do it. And in case if a mission goes away if you haven't got there in time, they will reappear again, and it will keep on doing it up until you actually complete it. These are vehicle functions that you can do while driving in all 3 games that not many other racing games allow you to do. The one functionality that is shared across all 3 games is the ability to roll up and down your windows, as well as using your horn. Other functionalities that you can do in both Solar Crown and TDU2 are the ability to race and lower down your roof if you have a convertible, and use your turn signals. Other functions that you can perform in Solar Crown include operating your windshield wipers, turning on your hazard lights, and racing up and down your spoiler if the car itself has a self-rising spoiler. Not to mention that you can also manually operate your headlights regardless of the time of day. Obviously, the test drive IP was never shut down, but it has been MIA for some time. And throughout the years, there has been 2 franchises that sort of became spiritual successors to the Test Drive Unlimited series, those being The Crew and Gear Club Unlimited. While these 3 franchises are different from each other, you can still find some Test Drive Unlimited aspects in The Crew and in Gear Club Unlimited. Not to mention that some people that worked at Eden Games in the past are in Ivory Tower, or used to be. And Eden Games themselves carrying over those same aspects they've done before and doing them differently in Gear Club Unlimited. One of the most well-known mods that exists for Test Drive Unlimited 1 is the TDU Platinum mod. This is an enhancement mod that gives you new physics, new cars, and even new performance upgrades for certain cars. TDU Platinum is the perfect mod for TDU1, but there are several mods that you can install to enhance your experience with TDU2, those being TDU World, Project Paradise 2, and TD Universe. While all of these 3 mods have their own perks and advantages from one another, but all of them simply just enhance the experience of TDU2 and even bring back the online servers. This is a collector's edition box that you can buy for Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, either by itself or along with whatever version of the game that you want to buy. While it is limited to 2,000 copies worldwide and very overpriced, it includes a 1/36 scale of the Porsche 918 Spyder in a frame, a number metallic Solar Club Platinum member card that tells you which copy out of the 2,000 that exist in the world you have, the game map, a 16-page concept art guide, a collector metal case for your physical copy, a luxury Solar Crown leather and metal keychain, a genuine Solar Crown ceramic casino token, a pair of luxury Solar Crown cufflinks in a false leather case, a Solar Crown cap with 3D embroidery, the Solar Crown collector bots, a premium metal case, and along with other things that you can have in the game. When it comes to backwards compatibility, only Test Drive Unlimited 1 is backwards compatible, specifically the PlayStation 2 version on select 20GB and 60GB fat PS3 models. I also tried to find to see if the PSP version of TDU1 is backwards compatible with the PS Vita. I couldn't get a straight answer, so it's safe to assume that it's not backwards compatible officially without doing some workarounds, if you know what I mean. The Unlimited series is known for the various cars they have in their roster across all three games, but one thing that is well known in this sub-series are the dealerships where you can go and purchase these vehicles. Regardless if it is for a certain manufacturer, a certain region in the world, or for whatever that it is that you're looking for that you need, a dealership will definitely have it across Oahu, Ibiza, and Hong Kong. And of course, what is a dealership that you can't test drive a car or a motorcycle? As immersive as they are in TDU2 and Solar Crown with the ability to walk around, all three games let you not just pick whatever color that you want for a particular vehicle if it has it, but also change the interior coloring as well, if it offers it, and even change the wheels if they have different options. Some things to note, in TDU1, motorcycle dealerships are only going to be accessible once you have found all of the car dealerships throughout the map of Oahu. While in TDU2, they're not possible to get as they were downloadable content unless if you're on PC and do some workarounds. And also in TDU2, it's the only game in the Unlimited series that offers a used car dealership, where you can go and buy whatever cars that are available at a cheaper price, and sometimes those cars may come in with some upgrades. One thing that it's only seen in Test Drive Unlimited 1, specifically with the classic car dealerships, is that vehicles will come and go, meaning that cars will only be available for a certain amount of time. And in case if the car that you want is out of stock, you can always reserve it and wait until the game makes it available. And in case if you're running out of garage space or you don't have enough money to buy a particular vehicle that you want, you can always sell it and make some money from it, only possible in the first two games. Instead of going to a dealership to purchase a car, you can also go into a vehicle rental agency and rent a car. There are a total of 10 locations that you can go to in the map of Oahu, and only possible in Test Drive Unlimited 1. And each location offers a different selection of vehicles that you can rent for 10 or 20 minutes, 30 or 60 minutes on the PS2 and PSP. Regardless if you want to save your money or you just don't have enough money to buy a particular car at full price, this is a good alternative to get a car quickly and do a particular event or mission that you need to do. While Solar Crown has a heliport to go from Hong Kong to Ibiza and back and forth, TDU2 has actual airports that allow you to go from Ibiza to Hawaii and back and forth. Unlocked after reaching level 10 in their global level and paying a one-time fee of $2,000, players are allowed to go from Ibiza to Hawaii. And after that, every back and forth trip will be for free. There's two ways to get to whatever island you want to go to. You can either go inside of the airport, walk around and get your plane ticket, or just simply press one of the options that lets you instantly teleport to the other island, post updates. Some things to know. While you can travel and arrive at the Aeroport de Ibiza, you don't get to travel from or arrive at the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport in Hawaii, like you do in the first game when you arrive for the first time. Instead, for TDU2, you get to arrive and travel from the Kawaihapai airfield, and it's more of an airfield in real life than it is as an airport in the game. Real estate agencies are where you can go to buy, exchange, and even sell house properties. Depending what agency you are at in the island of Ibiza or in Oahu, you are given a different selection of houses to choose from. Some houses in both games look exactly the same as others, with the difference being their location in the islands. One advantage that TDU1 houses have over TDU2 is more garage space, where the garage spaces ranges from 4 to 10 compared to the TDU2 spaces of 2 to 8. But one big advantage that TDU2 has over the first game is customization, that you can do things like changing furniture, floors, walls, and even putting in-game pictures as portraits. As of the time that I'm recording this and uploaded this video, Solar Crown does not feature any real estate properties that you can purchase. Instead, players live in a hotel suite. And the more you progress through the game, the better your suite will be. When it comes to garage space, you're only allowed to have 6 cars in each slot for your hotel garage, but if you own more than 6 cars, you can always swap out whichever car that you want for another. Or just simply switch the places of whatever other cars that you have in the garage. Before Solar Crown gets its casino update, so far Test Drive Unlimited 2 is the only game in the Unlimited series to have a casino. But instead of going into a building in either Ibiza or in Oahu, you get to go to a separate island to go to the casino. Both islands each feature a location where you can go and take a plane to get to the casino island. And in the island, you can do things like roulette, slot machines, and play poker. And there are also exclusive items that you can either purchase or even win them from the casino island, which includes 2 very exclusive cars. Those being the Audi R8 Spyder and the Spyder C8 Aleiron Spyder. Not only you can get inside of both cars, but you can also do a 2-lap time trial around the island with both cars, and rank yourself among with other players to see who's the fastest going around the island. To get the R8 Spyder, you simply have to win it from the test drive slot machines, by simply matching all 3 slots with the image of the car. To get the Aleiron Spyder, you first have to be a level 5 in the casino to be able to access the VIP terrace as a visitor. Once you reach that level, you can just simply buy the car outright for 500,000 casino chips. Another method is to win it from the Solar Crown Poker Tournament. Once you reach level 5 in the casino, you also have an option to purchase a level 1 pass for 25,000 casino chips. Or you can simply test your luck in the Solar Crown Raffle. To put it simple, you go to the bar that's in the casino lobby and see if you can find a cherry in whatever cocktail that you purchase. Once you do, you get your free pass for the poker tournament. Subsequent passes are also obtained this way in case if you don't get to advance to the next level if you lose. None of this is possible on console anymore as of 2018, but on PC, regardless of what mod you have that brings back the online servers, you can always go back into the casino island. Only seen in Test Drive Unlimited 2 are the racing schools. These are the places where you go and get your racing license for a particular vehicle class that you need to participate in the Solar Crown. There are a total of 8 licenses to get across the 6 locations in the game, 3 on each map. 2 for Classic, 2 for Off-Road, and 4 for Asphalt. And depending on the license, you're either gonna have to do 6, 7, or 8 tests to get them. All in different but similar scenarios, and sometimes in either day or night or in different weather conditions. Clothing stores are just simply places where you can go and buy new clothes, whether it being shirts, pants, shoes, sunglasses, or hats. And even motorcycle gear with the jackets, pants, boots, gloves, and helmets. And different locations can be found in the first and second game, varying by clothing brand. While in Solar Crown, there's only 1 clothing store available in the game, and that is in the Solar Hotel. At least in the main Hong Kong island, but there are 2 clothing stores in Ibiza that you can go to, but they are dependent on which clan you're part of. And if you ever wanted to change your clothes, whether being a piece of clothing or your entire outfit, in TDU1 you're gonna have to go to the character tab and then into the walk-in closet tab. For TDU2 and Solar Crown, whether it be in your home or in the Solar Hotel, you're gonna have to find the door to the closet or the dressing area, which in TDU2 is different depending what house you own, and in Solar Crown it's always gonna be in front of your bed. Additionally, in Solar Crown, there are 2 dressing rooms that you can go to and change your clothes in the Celine headquarters. And unlike the stores that are catered to a particular clan, you can go to either or regardless of which clan you're part of. Racing clubs in TDU2 are where you can go and group together with other players. You can either start your own club for $50,000 or get recruited by another club from other players. Clubs are structured like a hierarchy with 4 different levels, those being Raw Recruit, Member, Executive, and President, with Member, Executive, and President having rights or abilities that they can do. Clubs can also be upgraded over time, which also determines the garage capacity and members allowed to be in the club, with Dabbler Club allowing 8 players, Devotee allowing 16, and Expert Club allowing 32. Both money and experience are needed to upgrade the clubs, and it can be very expensive. But players are also allowed to donate their money to the club to help you and buy it if you're a president. And as a precedent, as garage capacity increases through upgrades, there are up to 4 exclusive cars that you can have in your club that you can purchase and allow yourself and other members to drive them. Those cars being the Wiseman Roadster MF3, the Lotus 211, the Gumper Apollo Sport, and the Ferrari FZ Evoluzione. Being club exclusive vehicles, you are not allowed to keep them in your personal properties, but you can use them in online multiplayer events and even in Solar Crown single player events. And clubs are still active on the PC version, with mods of course, and you can also find abilities to be able to keep any of these cars for yourself. Not the same as the racing clubs in TDU2, but it's the closest thing to them with clans in Solar Crown. There are 2 clans in the game, Streets and Shards, and both of them have a different vibe. Streets are the provocative and rebellious clan that have an underground style vibe, while the Shards are more elegant and sharp with the more style of luxury. And the simple objective is to simply overthrow the other clan depending which one you choose, and set the style for the city. And each clan has their own HQ and their own rewards that you can get when progressing through them. And in case if you ever wanted to switch clans for any reason, you can do that as well. TDU1 also had clubs, but they work a little bit different from its TDU2 counterpart. For starters, clubs were an online feature for the PC and Xbox 360 version, while the PlayStation version were integrated in a single player. To summarize the clubs in the HD version, they're just basically a simplified version to what eventually will become in TDU2. The clubhouses will cost at a certain price depending on their appearance, and if a player were to start their own club, they will be appointed as president and they can have up to 16 members to be in their club. And they can also appoint a vice president as well. Clubs on the PS2 and PSP versions work a little bit different. While it has the same hierarchy structure as seen in the HD version, you don't get to start your own club. Instead, you get to join the 30 plus clubs that exist in the game, and all you have to do is beat 6 other opponents, progress through the ranks, and become president of each club. And when becoming president, each club will either reward you with a free upgrade at the tuner shops or a free vehicle. One thing to also keep in mind is that each club has a different requirement, meaning it could either be restricted to a particular manufacturer, model, or vehicle class. Across all 3 games, you can find at least one permanent racing facility that you can find and drive in it, whether being free roam or in a particular event, usually multiplayer. TDU1 has 1 racetrack, but it is expanded to 9 racetracks in its TDU2 counterpart, with one of them reappearing again from the first game. Ibiza in TDU2 has 1, and Solar Crown's Hong Kong has 1 racetrack. While all of the tracks are fictional in the first 2 games, majority of the tracks in TDU2 have layouts that resemble some real-world racetracks. And the track that is seen in Solar Crown is real, but it is actually used for a different purpose in real life. That being a horse racetrack, while in the game it was converted into an oval racetrack with banking in the corners, along with an infield road course. Essentially a fictionalized version of an existing facility. TDU2 and Solar Crown have wrecked vehicles that you can find scattered all over the map and be able to restore them. TDU2 has a total of 8 wrecked vehicles that you can find, 6 in the base game, 2 DLC. Meanwhile, Solar Crown so far only has 2 base game vehicles that you can find. For TDU2, Ibiza and Hawaii are split into 2 and 4 areas respectively. Each of those areas have a vehicle that you have to find in 10 different locations. Once you found a vehicle 10 times, it will be fully restored at the used car dealership where you can go and collect it and keep it. The game will also reward you with a metal detector once you reach completion title Driver that will help you find these vehicles. For the DLC cars in TDU2, unlike the base game where you have to drive around the map and try to find the wrecked vehicle's location by using the metal detector if they're close, it's a bit easier with the DLC vehicles, as if you complete any of the time and extreme convoy missions, you will be given a general area where a wrecked vehicle might be. And instead of 10 different locations, you will only have to find 1 vehicle in Ibiza 8 times and in Hawaii 12 times. And none of these are specific to what area in both maps, they're all over the place. For the 2 wrecked vehicles in Solar Crown, you're gonna have to find them a total of 28 times. 14 for both cars, 2 times for each district in the game. And unlike TDU2 where the car will be at the used car dealer for you to collect once you found all locations, Solar Crown just simply teleports it to the garage once you found all the locations. Besides buying clothes and changing hairstyles on your character, the Unlimited series is also known for having plastic surgery. How it works in TDU1 is that you have to be in your house, and then go into the character tab and then into the modify tab. From there, you're able to change the appearance of your character, how it will look, with head giving you different facial features that you can play around with and modify, and also giving you the ability to change the skin tone of your character. You're also able to change your hairstyle and facial hair if your character is a male in the Modify tab as well, since there are no hairdressers unlike the second game. Technically it's plastic surgery, but it's not to the same extent to what TDU2 would have. And there, you're gonna have to go into a cosmetic clinic, and basically be able to do the same things that you can do in TDU1, but with more options. Differences being in TDU1, whatever you modify on your character, the changes will be instant. In TDU2, whatever you modify on your character, they will wear bandages around their face once the surgery is over, and it will stay on their face for an entire in-game day. They can even appear in cutscenes and license pictures like this as well. The way that it's done in Solar Crown, it's in the Solar Hotel going into the beauty salon section. And there, you're able to change the look of your character in the same way that you do in TDU2, just without going into a cosmetic clinic or a different location. Just like in TDU1, you're also able to change the hairstyle of your character from here as well. As well as, whenever you get done customizing your character, any changes you have made to them will be instantly applied once you pay the total price for it. And one thing that you can do here that you cannot do in the other two games is change the character model, making your character go from male to female and vice versa. While in the first two games, whenever you first start out, whatever character model you pick, that's the character that you're gonna stick with for the rest of the game. Successor to the F430, the 458 Italia is available in TDU2 as an A2 class vehicle, and it's seen in every version of TDU2 except for the Xbox 360. The reason for it was because Ferrari and Turn 10 Studios had an exclusive deal together that only they were allowed to feature the 458 in Forza Motorsport and no other racing game outside from it. And it's not that kind of exclusive deal where Forza is the only franchise where you can find the car. That didn't stop other games like Gran Turismo 5 from featuring the car. It's more of an exclusive deal where any racing game that were to be released on the Xbox 360 is not allowed to feature the 458 in any way. And this only lasted in 2010 and 2011 as a DLC car in Forza Motorsport 3 and as a base game vehicle in Forza Motorsport 4, also being the cover car of the game. Mentioning this now, there are some videos out there that show that people are able to have the 458 on the Xbox 360 version. But from what I was mostly able to gather together on how they were able to do it, it involved a bit of modding to get the car. Free Ride Instant Money, also known as FRIM, is a feature that is seen in TDU2 and Solar Crown. It's a system where doing various activities in free roam like doing near misses, jumps, or drifts will reward you money for it. And the more driving that you do, the more money you can get for you to claim. But you can lose it all instantly if you crash into another vehicle or into another object. Difference being that in TDU2 simplified to near misses, jumps, and drifts, and the meter will go up depending on your speed and distance respectively. In Solar Crown, maneuvers are more expanded to include different types of near misses and even different types of drifts. Not to mention that you can get points by going at high speeds and even going on the wrong side of the road. And excluding those two that I just mentioned, majority of the maneuvers and skills that you can do in Solar Crown have a limit as to how much you can do them in a single session. It's not something that you can get rich off from it, but it's something that you can do to get some quick money out of it, if you know what you're doing. Some things to know, both meters in TDU2 and Solar Crown have a maximum of 10 levels. The maximum amount of money that you can make in a single session of FRIM in TDU2 is $4,000, but it will be increased to $10,000 once you reach level 12 in competition. In Solar Crown, the maximum amount of money you can make in a single FRIM session is 100,000 solar coins. But unlike in TDU2 where you can cash in as much money as you want using FRIM, you're only limited to 10 daily cash-ins in Solar Crown. Once you run out of cash-ins, you're just basically doing it for style points. And for whatever reason that you want to turn FRIM off, you can do that in both games. From appearing as downloadable content in TDU1 to being in the base game in TDU2 to nowhere to be seen in Solar Crown, RUF was used as a substitute for Porsche. This was all due to the exclusivity deal that Porsche had with Electronic Arts to only appear in Need for Speed, outside of some racing games that were able to get them in their games. But the Unlimited series was not one of those games. Not even Atari or Eden Games were able to get Porsche in any way during this exclusivity deal period. So they had to use RUF as a substitute like almost any other racing franchise has done during this time. And since Solar Crown was released after the expiration of the exclusivity deal, there was no reason for the brand to be appearing, and not just in Solar Crown but in almost any racing game nowadays, making the brand more obsolete. Performance shops are places where you can take your vehicle and enhance its performance. In TDU1 and 2, performance shops or tuner shops are oriented to vehicle region. While in Solar Crown, you can pretty much just take any vehicle that you want to any workshop that you see around in the map. When upgrading your performance in TDU1, they are classified as performance kit levels from levels 1 to 3, and they upgrade your stats of acceleration, speed, handling, and braking altogether. Once that car is fully upgraded, you can't take it back to the tuner shop again, as there's nothing else that you can do to the car, unless if you were to sell it and start all over again with the car. Additionally, depending on the car, you can change the manufacturer of it as well. They will also have the same performance kit levels, and depending on the kit level, it could also change the group of the car as well. And seen in the TDU Platinum mod, you can also add preset body kits to the cars. Performance in TDU2 goes from the highest of 3 levels to 4 levels. And instead of performance kit levels, you have different options that you upgrade separately, those being acceleration, speed, and braking. And in some cars, you can also change the rims as well. Not custom rims, but OEM rims that will be offered at dealerships. Solar Crown expands performance customization more with different options of engine, suspension and brakes, transmission, aerodynamics, tires, and ECU, and even electrical systems for EVs. Additionally, in the workshop, you can also apply liveries to your cars as well, which could either be stickers and or paint your entire vehicle. Things that were possible in the first 2 games but require you to go to different buildings to get them done. And even change some cosmetic parts, which are just rims, window tint, and interior color. But unlike the first 2 games, you can also apply custom rims on your cars. One thing that Solar Crown has that the other 2 games don't are different car setups, meaning that you can choose whatever setup works best for you or depending on the condition of the race, and even change out your tires depending on the conditions. TDU1 and 2 gave you the ability to create your own custom events, which mainly consist of time trials and speed related events, either top speed or speed traps. Going into the editor tab in TDU1 and challenge editor in TDU2, it will take you up in the map and let you create your own custom event. In there, you're able to change the rules, set restrictions, and depending on the challenge that you're creating, able to put the allowable amount of checkpoints that you want or speed traps, set the entry fee and reward prize money, test out your run, and even upload it into the Racing Community Center in TDU2 or the drive-in in TDU1. And in those places is where you can go and find other people's challenges, or people can find your challenges. Not possible in console, but it's still possible on PC today depending which mod you have, at least on TDU2. Test Drive Unlimited 2 is known for having various glitches, and one of the most known is the ability to walk out of bounds. And in order to be able to walk out of bounds outside of your house, the first step is to pick whatever house you want to walk out from. Then you're gonna exit that house and immediately go to the challenge editor and quickly create a challenge. Just a simple time trial. Then you're gonna set the checkpoints, just simply a start and a finish line far away from the house you exited from. Do a quick test run and immediately exit the challenge editor once you complete your test run. Once you've done it right, you should be able to see your house in a low texture quality. After that, you just simply go inside your house and you have the ability to walk anywhere outside from it. TDU1 has some concept cars that not many racing games feature nowadays. Those cars being the Alfa Romeo 8C Competizione, Chrysler Firepower, Chrysler ME 412, Ford Mustang GTR concept, Ford Shelby Cobra concept, Ford Shelby GR1 concept, Volkswagen W12 Coupe, and the Volkswagen W12 Roadster. These vehicles are purchasable in the PlayStation version of the game, but they are unlocked in the Xbox 360 PC version of the game by completing all of the various challenges and events that require you to do in the game. And even more concept cars were added as DLC later on in the game's lifecycle. Eden Island, also referred to as Rabbit Island, can be driven in Test Drive Unlimited 1. To get there, you have to get to this location in the game to find an Eden logo that you can teleport yourself into the island. While it is uninhabited in real life, there are roads in the game that you can drive on and just cruise around in here. Keep in mind that you also have to be at speed to be able to go through the portal whether you're going into or coming back from the island. Or you can just simply use the map to exit the island. It's also possible to drive in the island in TDU2, but to get there you have to either mod yourself into the island or use a glitch to get there. Since there isn't a teleportation method like in the first game to get to the island, and the only time we're in the island in the second game is in the final cutscene. Motorcycles were a staple in the Unlimited series since the first game, introduced in the base game, later as DLC in TDU2, and not to be around in Solar Crown. There are events that you can race around with motorcycles in both single player and multiplayer in the first game, and only in multiplayer in the second game. As TDU1 and 2 have motorcycle gear, with TDU1 being purchasable in-game while in TDU2 is giving you part of the bike pack, only in TDU2 allows you to use emotes when riding a motorcycle. Different from the already existing emotes that you can do with your character when inside of your house or another building, and in Solar Crown as well. FRIM also works the same as it does with a car, but drifting has been replaced with the ability to do stoppies and wheelies, which only 2 out of the 3 bikes are able to do, and if you also know how to control it without falling off. The first 2 TDU games had police presence. To get police in TDU1, it's very simple. You just have to hit 2 traffic vehicles, whether if it's different or the same vehicle, and then get the police. Or just simply hit a police vehicle and start a pursuit from there. From there are 3 levels. First level may consist of just 1 police officer going after you. It's very light and it's very easy to escape from him. Sometimes more cops may show up in level 1, but it's still easy to escape nevertheless. Level 2 just basically brings in more backup to come in and try to stop you. And in level 3 is when they will start calling in roadblocks to stop you. To increase the levels, you simply have to keep on hitting more traffic vehicles and or police vehicles. Basically the equivalent of committing traffic violations. And if you hit a roadblock or hit an incoming officer, you just basically get put into a sudden stop and instantly get arrested from there. Usually you'll be given a citation with a fine that you have to pay that is based on how many vehicles you have crashed into, how many traffic signs you have destroyed along in the pursuit, and multiplied by the title rank that you are in the game. And in case if you don't have enough money to pay for the fine, or you don't have any money at all, you'll just be sent to jail for a certain amount of time, and then you'll get released back into your house. To escape from the police, you just have to drive away from them, preferably in long straights at high speeds. The higher the level, you just have to take evasive maneuvers and stay away from them as much as possible. You can also go off-road, but it's not a definite solution to escape your wanted level. It can help you go from one road to another as a shortcut, but you have to remain on the road at all times in order to decrease your wanted level. Police in TDU2 work differently than in TDU1. It's all dependent on a traffic violation meter where you have to fill it up by crashing into police vehicles, ambulances, fire trucks, or crash into oncoming NPC vehicles in front of the police officer, and even commit traffic violations like running red lights. Once that meter has been filled up, a pursuit will start, and unlike in TDU1 where you can be in a pursuit for as long as you like, you are in a timer to be in a pursuit, which is 2.5 minutes. Not only you will be chased by regular NPC police vehicles, but you will be chased by Dodge Chargers and Dodge Vipers. And these cop cars are more tougher than they were in TDU1. Not only will they try to spin you out, crash into you, or use roadblocks, but they will also use EMPs to stop you. You can also try to go off-road and evade the police, but the longer that you stay off-road, the more likely a helicopter will be able to find you. TDU2 police chases are all about survival, that you have to survive the 2.5 minute timer to be able to escape. When you're about to get busted, you have a 5-second timer for you to get back up to speed to keep the chase going. And if you fail to get back up to a certain speed, you'll be busted right there and there, and usually you'll just be paying a fine, and whatever amount of chases you have done previously, if any, you'll be reset back to a clean record. And your fine will be calculated based out of which of the 4 ranks you were before you were busted. Which in turn, the more police chases you escape, the higher your rank will be. The lowest fine that you can pay in TDU2 is $1,000, and if the off chance that you happen to have less than that amount, you'll just be paying with whatever money you have left in your account. And if you have $0, well, you just simply escape for free, basically. You don't actually get to go to jail like you do in the first game. Something that TDU1 never let you do, but TDU2 allow you to be a police officer. But this is only available in multiplayer where you can go and be able to arrest other players. Same strategies apply of Roblox, Helicopter, and EMP to arrest other players. You can also earn rewards for both Outlaw and Police Officer, which are stickers that can be applied to any car that's allowable, a police outfit and an outlaw outfit, and 2 cars being the police variant of the Dodge Viper SRT10 with the Ibiza livery that you get after achieving 35 player arrests in chase mode, and an outlaw variant of the Mercedes-Benz COK 63 AMG Black Series that you get after escaping 8 police chases in a row. Additionally, there is a DLC time convoy mission that you can do that has an SRT10 with the Hawaii Police Department on it. As dumb as it is for a police officer to let a civilian drive a police vehicle from one place to another, this is the only time that anyone is able to drive a police vehicle without the use of mods and or before doing the 35 player arrest requirement. TDU2 had 2 variants of the Nissan 370Z, those being the regular variant and the optional parts variant that was released as downloadable content. But there is a 3rd variant of the car, and that's the 370Z Nismo. Now, the car technically was in the game, but it wasn't supposed to be at the same time. This is a hidden car from DLC 2, that it was supposed to be released along with the other cars that were released in this DLC pack but ended up being a cut vehicle instead. But some players were able to find the car in a used car dealership, mostly in a buggy or in a glitchy state but can still be test driven. Of course, nowadays people can bring it back on the PC version and do some fixing on the car to make it more properly drivable and can actually be bought in game, but it was just a weird occurrence that it happened back in the day. What I'm referring about pre-updates is what Test Drive Limited 2 used to look and what it was like before any updates were released. Back when the game was new, and especially today when the console versions either don't have the ability to get the updates and patches anymore or eventually won't, there used to be a bug in the game where there was no weather change whatsoever, day and night clear skies, outside from some license tests. And it only happens when you were playing the game in offline mode, and it was never a problem when you were playing the game online. But eventually they did patch it up and you can have different types of weather in both offline and online. Prior to any updates, some vehicles used to have different engine sounds than what they do now with the updates. And there were also buildings that were added over time through the updates that initially were non-existent in empty lands to being in the game but inaccessible to eventually being accessible, and few of them were under construction. This is just simply a place where you can go and wash your car. Whenever your car is dirty and you don't want to go back into your property, you can always go to a car wash and get it clean. Along with a cutscene that, well, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It's whatever, I don't care. Any car can be taken into the car wash to get clean, even if it's a convertible with the roof down or something as open as the D-Type, which makes the cutscene a bit goofy for a car like this. Car washers can also be seen in Test Drive Unlimited 1, but they're inaccessible as they were a cut feature from the game, and they basically would have worked the same as they did in Test Drive Unlimited 2. Adam is one of the opponents that you race against in TDU2's Solar Crown. Aside from the fact that majority of his car selection of all the championships in the game are from the United Kingdom, he's the only racer to not have a last name. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown has 3 main game ratings: ESRB rating of everyone 10 and up, Seto rating of B, and PEGI rating of 18. Initially, when the game was first being revealed, it always had the PEGI 18 rating, even if it was used as a provisional, and even had a different rating in one of the many trailers that came out for the game between 2020 to 2024. And usually, the rating of a game will be the same across the world regardless where it's being released, usually and in their own way. The true equivalent of PEGI 18 and ESRB will be adults only, AO, but it would have been rated M for mature to still be able to be released and sold anywhere. And it was presumably believed that this would have been one of those rare games, or let alone probably the first racing game with licensed vehicles to be rated M for mature. And in the case of Japan's Seto rating of B is the equivalent of a cross between Everyone 10 and Up and T for Teen. But in the end, Solar Crown ended up getting 3 different ratings. Everyone 10 and Up because of the lyrics of some of the songs in the game, Seto rating of B for crime, believe it or not, and PEGI 18 because of in-game purchases and gambling, or at least what's going to be in the game eventually. And if you live in a country that uses the ARC rating system, it's rated the same as what PEGI rated the game. And same scenario with the same reason in South Korea with their own rating. Technically, you can say Solar Crown is rated M for mature, but that's what is rated in Australia, mainly for simulated gambling. Throughout the life cycle of Test Drive Unlimited 2, there has been a total of 28 vehicles that have been released as downloadable content officially. 3 motorcycles, 2 cars that you can find as wreck vehicles, and 15 other cars that you can purchase at dealerships. And assuming you never bought one out of the 15 cars or the 15 car bundle, normally it will tell you to download the content instead of buying it in-game. But there is a method to get around this paywall, and that is going up to the salesperson, look at the car list, find the DLC car that you want to buy, and depending where it is on the list, you want to be above it or below it. And remember, to tell the difference between a DLC car and a base game car, DLC cars are highlighted in blue. Then you're gonna press A or X on the base game car and immediately time it perfect to go up or down with the left joystick to the DLC car that you want, and after that you can just purchase it normally like you would with a base game car. And this works with all of the 15 cars that are in the dealerships across both maps. And as of the time that I'm recording this method cannot be done on the Xbox 360 version unless if you have managed to download all of the updates in time before the marketplace was shut down. But there might be still some time left for the PlayStation 3 version. PC players can always find the updates and patches for the game anywhere online, even if the game is not available on Steam anymore. The method can also work for motorcycles, but here's the thing. I purchased one of them before the marketplace was shut down for the Xbox 360 version. After purchasing it, it never registered in-game, and the only way for it to register was if I bought any of the motorcycles back when the servers were still up. And speaking about the servers, this method can still also be done back when the servers were still up. But the catch being that whatever DLC car or cars you have bought, it would only be temporarily available in your game session, and if you were to reboot your game or just turn it off and play another time, they will be automatically replaced with Miami Harris's Mustang. Mainly on the PC version and probably for the console version as well, but since the servers were shut down, the official servers mind you, this doesn't matter at all. So long story short, somebody owes me $1 and a Ducati, or one of them. But there is an unofficial patch that you can download for the PC version that would allow you to do the loophole with the motorcycles. And in that patch, it includes one motorcycle out of the many vehicles that are included being a Kawasaki Ninja. Being a mod, it will allow you to purchase it like any other vehicle in the game. And through this bike is what would allow you to do the method with the other 3 bikes. All 3 games have their own radio stations that play different types of music genres, but Test Drive Unlimited 2 is the only one that has radio commercials. All of the radio ads are satire and they play in both radio stations in the game.
We're going to take a quick commercial break before we move into a block of non-stop music here on Hariba Radio.
Yahoo! Oh, you look great today. Whoa! Yeah, man! I'm totally pumped, man. Weehaw! How do you have so much energy? Easy, man. Drink Bubble Cow Energy Drink and you'll be in a good mood all day. Whoa!
Bubble Cow, the energized drink that gives you a blast.
Want power, stamina, speed? Want to increase the performance of your car? Strong Oil is the product you need. It's the absolute best additive to boost your engine and ensure better longevity. Should not be taken internally. Your results may vary. Side effects were the same as sugar pills. Some restrictions may apply. Not valid in all states.
You're listening to Hariba Radio.
This is an Easter egg that can be seen in TDU2's Casino Island, and it is also a trophy or an achievement that you can unlock that's no longer possible on console. And all you simply have to do is just wake up the island caretaker. To get there during the time attack, you just have to go up to his house that's near the lighthouse in the island, and then just simply honk as many times as you need to wake him up and then be mad at you. Test Drive Unlimited 1 and 2 had different sets of driving physics or handling. First one with TDU1 had Hardcore mode, or Hardcore Physics. This was a mode that was released as downloadable content that changes the driving physics a bit. Makes your car a bit lighter, slides more, and it's even a bit harder to control, but fun once you get used to it. Different from the original driving physics and handling and its different modes. Designed to be played with an Xbox 360 racing wheel, it also gives you a vehicle telemetry to look at your tires, suspension, and the amount of G-forces you're getting when turning. Since it was downloadable content for the Xbox 360 version, PC players were able to get it by simply reaching champion level to get the mode unlocked and have it available every time they boot up the game in the main menu, given that the PC version came out months after the Xbox 360 version. And also reaching champion level would also unlock the mode on the 360. TDU2 also had a different set of driving, handling, and physics before the game was released. What we ended up getting in the final release isn't perfect at all, and it also doesn't help with what type of assist you're running with depending on the car you're driving. And comparing the final game physics with the beta ones, honestly, in my opinion at least, the beta ones were better and it's a lot easier to control the car and for drifting too. But luckily they can be brought back as a mod for the PC version. My Girl is a song by Paul Oakenfold that was heard in the beginning of Test Drive Unlimited 2, and only heard in the game's intro and in some game trailers as well. The song is pretty difficult to find, or at the very least it was never properly officially released to be in streaming platforms or even in YouTube. And the song was never heard again outside from the intro, not even Hariba Radio featured it. There are videos on YouTube that have the song, which majority of them were released when the game was new at the time. And majority of them are in lower quality and compiled together from what was heard in the game and in trailers. So far there's only one video that has it in high quality but a bit short. And it's unknown if the song will ever see an official release or even an extended or a complete version of the song exists in high quality. Across all the versions of Test Drive Unlimited 1 and 2, there are some exclusive vehicles that are featured in some versions that others do not have. Starting out with all the Ferraris and Maseratis that were featured in the HD version of Test Drive Unlimited 1 that were not seen in the PlayStation version. And same thing goes with all of the motorcycles. The PlayStation versions has two upgrades for the SOK55 AMG that are not seen in the HD version that turn it into the SOK B55S and the SOK 6.1S capacity increase. Both of these upgrades are supposed to be branded as Brabus, but because they couldn't get the brand in the game, this is the closest they could get to them. The PlayStation version also had an exclusive vehicle that was not seen on the HD version, that being the AC Shelby Cobra 427, a vehicle that was cut in the HD version, but it was brought back in Test Drive Unlimited 2 as a wreck vehicle. While the 458 Italia only got to be seen on the PC and PS3 version of TDU2, there is one vehicle that was only seen on the Xbox 360 version, and that was the hardtop variant of the Spyder C8 Aleiron, essentially being the 458's replacement on the 360, and also being another alternative to its Spyder counterpart. These are fictional vehicles that Eden Games created to be used in place of the DLC cars in Test Drive Unlimited 1, and they were seen back in the day in place of DLC cars that you haven't bought in your game for the 360 and PC version, when playing the game online with other people. The default car is a combination of 3 cars: the Golf R32 from the front and the rear taillights, the R8 in the sides, and the Audi A6 from the rear. And when going into the vehicle's cockpit camera, you're not going to see anything through it, and it's very low quality on the inside. While I cannot tell you what the motorcycle is based out of, I can tell you that both vehicles don't have their own stats, and they only go up from whatever DLC vehicle they're supposed to be replacing, assuming if said DLC vehicle goes missing from the game files. Prior to the release of Test Drive Unlimited 2, exclusive codes were included with the game as a pre-order bonus, and they're different depending where you got them from. And they were offered at some stores in North America, Europe, and in some websites as well. A majority of these will give you one of the 15 DLC cars that would eventually be released later on in the game's lifecycle. However, if you were to pre-order your game at a GameStop or EB Games, you would have gotten the Casino DLC for free. And rarely enough, if you were to pre-order your game at a Kmart, not only you would have got a Ferrari 61260, but you would have gotten a free version of Test Drive Unlimited 1. If you pre-ordered the 360 version, you would have got the PC version. And if you pre-ordered the PS3 version, you would have got the PSP version. The Xbox 360 version of Test Drive Unlimited 1 received multiple expansion packs, while the PC version only received one. Some cars were released for free, while majority of them were bundle and volume packs on the 360 version. And all of those volume packs will be compiled into a mega pack expansion for the PC version, except for one. In total, 46 DLC vehicles are shared between the 360 and PC version, 45 cars and 1 motorcycle. And they all come from the first 5 volume packs from the 360, but there is a volume 6 pack that never made it into the PC version. This pack includes 7 vehicles, 6 cars and 1 motorcycle. Those being the Nissan 350Z Roadster, Pontiac Solstice, Ferrari Dino 246 GTS, Triumph Daytona 955i, Lamborghini Diablo GT, Audi A4 touring car, and the Cadillac 16. This DLC pack is considered lost. And as it stands as of now, and as far as I know, there is no mods to compensate for all of these 7 vehicles to be on the PC version. And unless if you were one of the few people that were able to purchase this DLC pack back in the day, your best method nowadays is to use a modded Xbox 360 to get them. A lot of vehicles and features were cut from Test Drive Unlimited 1 and 2. A lot of these were cut for either licensing issues and or time constraints. And in the case for TDU2, it also includes Atari's bankruptcy problems. I'm not going to mention every single piece of cut content, but I am going to mention some notable ones. And keep in mind, there's a chance that there might be a mod for either these features and or vehicles that can be brought back into these games. While I already mentioned about the Shelby Corporal 427 and the 2 SLK Brabus upgrades that were cut on the HD version, other vehicles that were cut across all versions of Test Drive Unlimited 1 include the Chevrolet Cobalt SS, Chevrolet Corvette C6 Show and Go, Corvette C2, Mazda MX-5 Roadster, the NC Miata, the RX-8, 3 Hummers that were the H1, 2, and 3, and a Weissmann GT. Out of all of these vehicles, only the H3 was able to make it into the second game, not counting the 427. TDU2 has a lot of cut vehicles that were either planned or were going to be part of a DLC pack that never released. Some of these cut vehicles include the Ascari KZ1, Cadillac Escalade, Dodge Challenger SRTA, Ducati Monster S4R, Ferrari F50, Ferrari F2004, Ford Mustang V6 Premium, Harley Davidson Sportster 1200 Nightster, Jeep Grand Cherokee SRTA, Koenigsegg Agera, KTM Expo, Lamborghini Gallardo LP 560-4, Lamborghini Murcielago LP 640, Celine S5S Raptor, a Top Fuel Dragster, and a Hot Rod. Like the Nissan 370Z and the Kawasaki CX-10R that I mentioned earlier from the unofficial patch, it also includes the V6 Premium Mustang. The hot rod is in the game, but it went unreleased. And the vehicle is based out of a 1932 Ford Roadster, and it also has its own stats. The 4 DLC packs that were supposed to be in Test Drive Unlimited 2 include a second motorcycle pack, a boats pack, a rally pack, and a track pack. And out of all of these, only the rally pack was the closest to be completed. Both Ibiza and Hawaii each had a Bikes for Race dealership that never got completed, which would have served as the location for you to get the 2 motorcycles that were supposed to be released. And as for the boats, this would have been the first racing game to have both cars, motorcycles, and boats to be playable in the same game. Something that wouldn't happen until the Crew 2, along with the inclusion of airplanes and a helicopter. This is the original R8 with a V8 engine along with a single clutch automated gearbox, different from the already existing V10 that we have in the game, from its wheels to its speedometer, saying R8 in third person instead of V10, and even missing the V10 in the bumper cam. While the car was well modeled when the game first released, its body and interior was later changed into the 5.2 FSI Quattro that we have in the game when the Exploration Pack was released, while maintaining its wheels, speedometers outside the cockpit view, and its driving physics. The car was never finished and it went unreleased, but it can still be found in the Driving Convoy mission untouched, or in the Driving Convoy mission Don't Disappoint Me if you happen to be playing the vanilla version of the game. While the car is broken and undrivable at times, this is the only time we get to drive it officially. While gas stations are seen in the first 2 games and used in Solar Crown as fast travel spots and places where you can fix your car's damage, and even switch cars as well, at least in TDU2, it was actually a feature that never made it far into development. TDU1 had cut clothing brands that never appeared in the game that also appeared in the files of Test Drive Unlimited 2, those 2 being Diesel and Adidas. TDU2 was also supposed to have 2 car auction centers, one on each island. They can still be seen in the game just under construction, and their purpose was basically supposed to be a place where you can go and be able to buy cars from and sell your cars to other players, similar to what Forza has. The reason as far as we know as to why this got cut was because of how online multiplayer used to work back in the 7th generation. Unless if you're on PC, nowadays you have to pay for multiplayer regardless if you're on Xbox, PlayStation, or even Nintendo. Back when Test Drive Unlimited 2 released, only Xbox 360 players had to pay for multiplayer while PS3 and PC players got it for free. And it was hard for eating games back then with the technology that they had to keep these separate. Nightclubs were also a cut social feature from Test Drive Unlimited 2. This is different from the already existing clubs that we have in the game. These are more of locations where you can go and just have fun with other players inside of a nightclub. There are some locations in the game, especially in the Ibiza map, but it's unknown exactly on how will they look like inside and what will you do inside. My guesses are that it will be like the party scene at the beginning of the game, and it will look something like the street's headquarters in Solar Crown. What this is a bonus DVD for Test Drive Unlimited 1, and it has 6 chapters that basically just shows you what's new in the game and how to play the game. And as far as I know, it only seen a physical release in Australia. But you can always still find a video containing all 6 chapters on places like the Internet Archive and on YouTube. And all of these videos used to be available on the Xbox Live Marketplace, up until when the game got delisted. In some houses in TDU2, you will find either a pool table, a darts board, and or some shotguns that would have served a purpose in the game as some mini games that you can do with friends. And of course, being cut features, not much is known about them in terms of how will they work and how will they look like. We all know the intro video that you see in Test Drive Unlimited 1 after you pick your character and you're on your way to Oahu, where it's just a video of a Celine S7 racing down the streets of the island against 2 Lamborghini Gallardos until it crashes out, serving as a dream sequence that lasts until the flight attendant wakes your character up to fasten their seatbelt. But this video was actually different in the beta, and it goes in a sequence of events where you first start dreaming of yourself driving in a Ferrari F430 Spyder cruising down the streets of the island. And then you encounter with another person driving in a Ford GT and then start racing them until that Ford GT crashes out. And then you find a top model that you give a ride to, and then you keep on cruising down until you get to the city, and then you are about to start another race with another person in a motorcycle. And then the flight attendant wakes you up and the rest of the cutscene plays as it did in the final game. I already talked about the Eden Island and how to get there, but it actually looked different in the beta. Instead of having one road that goes around the entire island along with a waterfall and a cruise ship, it's unfinished in the beta, but it also has another street that leads into a house, which could have been a free house that you could get at the end of the game instead of the one we ended up getting. That's of course assuming we ended up getting this version of Eden Island. Also, with the ability to mods, you can also take yourself into the other islands in TDU1, which you'll find nothing but land. TDU2 also had hints of its own island, not counting the same Eden Island from the first game that you mod and glitch yourself your way there instead. This island was supposed to be called Treasure Island, and the only hints of it was its own airport that probably would have been the airport from the island itself. But again, all of this is just concept art, so it could just be anything. Not a secret island since it is the same casino island, but there is a glitch that allows you to free roam the island with whatever car that you want. Once you successfully done the glitch, you're able to free roam and you can even access the map in the game. And it'll show you the island along with other surrounding islands that are near the casino island. And as far as I know, those other islands are inaccessible to even be driven on. An underground cave was also found in the game that eventually got patched up, and this was an area where developers used to test the off-road physics for the off-road vehicles. And it also had mud in there, but mud obviously was cut from the final game as no vehicle was capable of driving through it. Okay, first upload of the year. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I had this Iceberg planned for last year until another franchise, Need for Speed, was having its 30th anniversary and decided to do an Iceberg on that instead, which that never came into fruition. It's still going to happen sometime this year, hopefully. But besides trying to work on that video that's been put on hold for some time now, along with other videos and things that were happening in my life that just kept me sidelined from doing YouTube, at least now I can say I have some consistency again to keep going. I can't make any promises, but I can say that I have some things planned for this year, so stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoy the video, comment down what you thought, subscribe, and I'll see you whatever else I'm gonna be uploading next.